in this video, we are going to talk about how to add fields to a form. We can add or delete fields in a form in either the layout view or the design view using the field list. Now, the field list lists the database tables and the fields that they contain. So in this case, we want to add the tour description from the tour categories table to our tour entry form. We're in our tours entry form already from our previous video. And then I'm going to click on the design tab here and click the add existing fields button. And notice here it brings up our field list. I'm going to bring it over. There we go. And I'm going to click the show all tables link so that we can see everything. Now notice the field list is divided into sections. The upper section shows the tables currently used by the form. The middle section here shows directly related tables, and then the lower section shows other tables in the database. This expand button here, if I click it, it closes and opens. That's the list of our tours. Now I'm going to go down here to where it says tour categories, and I'm going to click the plus sign to expand that one. And then I'm going to grab this description field here. And then all I have to do is drag it over and bring it down to where I want it, which is right here underneath price. Now I want it to line up with the other fields here, so I'm going to click out and then grab just the drop down, move that over to where I want it. There we go. And voila, just like that, we have added a new field to our form. Awesome. Now just a reminder, if you make a mistake at any time, you can go up here and click the undo button and it will walk you backwards. Now I'm going to click the home tab here so that I can access my views. I'm going to switch to form view, and then down here at the bottom I'm going to click this arrow with what looks almost like a gold box. This means a new blank record, and notice now all of our fields are blank. I'm going to click in the tour name box here and I'm going to enter a new record. And because I use the category of family, it automatically pulled in the description of family tours. Very cool. So now that we've talked about how to add fields to a form, let's talk about how to modify form controls. Now, we've already made some modifications to form controls when we changed the font color or size. Now, when we modify controls, we're changing the properties or the characteristics. And all of the control characteristics we can modify are stored in the controls properties sheet. So in this case, because Quest offers more adventure tours than any other type of tour, we've decided to use the property sheet of the category field to modify the default value to be adventure. Yes, that's right, we can do that. So let's see how it's done. I'm still here in my tourist entry form. I'm going to go over here to the view, and then I'm going to select the layout view. And then over here in the tools group, I'm going to click on property sheet. And these are currently all the properties listed for this field, which happens if you notice we have the description field selected right now. I'm going to click on the category combo text box. And then over here on the right, I'm going to find the data type. So notice up here all these tabs. I'm going to select data, and then I'm going to find the default value box. So that's this right here. Notice default value, and right now category, it's blank. I'm going to type in adventure, and because it's text, it automatically put the quotes on either side. Now I'm going to click the format tab over here and then click the tour number label, and notice as we click on the field versus the tour number, they're all unique. So make sure you select the right one, tour number. And then I'm going to go over here to the home tab, and then I'm going to align the text to the right and watch what happens. It moves it over here, but then also notice down here where it says text align, it changed it to right, even though we changed it using the ribbon. So just know that you have options in how you're applying these changes. Now I'm going to click the tour name label, and then I'm going to hold down the shift key and click the rest of the labels here. There we go. I'm going to click align the text right over here, and notice they all moved over. Perfect. Now don't be overwhelmed by the number of properties available for each control. There are quite a bit. If you click the down arrow, you can see the options. It says font size. So I encourage you just to check out the options, see what they would look like, to see what would work best for you. Over time, you'll learn about most of these properties, but at this point, it's just important for you to understand the purpose of the property sheet and understand that properties are modified in multiple ways. Now, I'm going to click the Save button because these are design changes, so we do need to save. And then I'm going to click the View button here and switch to Form View. That will close our property sheet. I'm going to go down here and click New Blank Record, and then I'm going to enter another record here. And notice the default, it is adventure like we wanted, but I'm going to change this to sports. As I type it, that category will start to appear, so I can just tab out. And then the price on this one is $1,200. And again, the description automatically populates based on the category. Great! So we can see all the changes we applied are reflected here. Now let's create some calculations. Text boxes are generally used to display data from underlying fields. A text box control can also display a calculation. So to create a calculation in a text box, we're going to enter an expression instead of just a name. An expression is a combination of field names and operators such as plus, minus, multiplication, and functions such as sum, count, or average. This results in a single value. So what we want to do in this case is add a text box to our tour's entry form to calculate the tour end date, which it can do since we have the tour start date and the duration. So let's do it. So we want to add this field below the duration text box up here. But first we'll want to resize the city and state abbreviation fields. So first I'm going to switch to the design view. Click the drop down arrow, select design. And yes, I know it looks a little funky. Deep breath. I'm going to click on the city label. I'm going to click on the city label here, hold down shift, click the field itself, then the state abbreviation and the field. So you should have 4 things selected. Then we want to click on the arrange tab and click the size space button. And then all we have to simply do is select to shortest. And see what it did is it shrunk the entry field to match the label. So I didn't have to manually resize it, resized it for me. And it looks great. So now that we've done that, we are ready to make room for the new control to calculate the tour end date. I'm just going to click on a blank spot in the form here to deselect the city and state. And then I'm going to click the state abbreviation text box and move it down so that it's right above category. There we go. And notice it brought the label with it. I didn't have to select them both. So now I have this blank spot here where we're going to add our calculated field. I'm going to click on the design tab here. And then click the text box button in the controls group, which looks like this. It's the A, B, and then the dash. So click on that. And then go down here, and then I'm just going to click between the duration and city text boxes to insert this new text box. And yes, at first, whenever you click, it's not going to go necessarily where you want it to go, but then we can manually move it where we need to. Notice by adding the new text box, it automatically added a new label to the left of the text box as well. Now I'm going to select the label itself, which right now just says text 20. Double click on it to select it, and I'm going to change it to tour end date. Now I'm just going to move it over so we can actually see the whole name. There we go. And now we're ready to build our calculated field. So I've selected the field itself. Now I'm going to go up here to the data tab on my property sheet and click the control source property. And here's where we're going to actually type in our expression. It's going to be equal, and then a square bracket. Not a curly bracket or parentheses, a square bracket, which you can find next to your P on your keyboard. And then I'm going to type in the field, which is tour start date in camel case. Notice it's starting to appear at the bottom. I'm going to close that square bracket out. This is how we differentiate field names in Access. I'm going to then put in a plus sign, which is shift equal, and then another field, so a square bracket, duration, square bracket. So we're saying that this field will equal the tour start date plus the duration. Perfect. And then we just hit enter to update the field. Notice that now we see the formula reflected here. And I just want to point out that you don't need to worry about capitalization. It's not text sensitive, but be mindful of the spaces because those do matter. Now to see our end result, we're going to click over here on the view button and switch over to form view. And voila, there it is, tour end date. So notice it starts on July 6th, add 3 days. That means it ends on July 9th, but we didn't have to calculate that ourselves. It did that for us. And if I scroll through other records here, we will see that it did the same for everything else. That's simple. Some other common expressions used would be the sum function to add values in a field, or a multiplication function if we're saying to take something and times it by, for example, like a tax, or if we wanted to add a shipping fee, or a date function. There's a lot of useful expressions out there. I encourage you to use them in your forms. And that's it for this video. In our next video, we're going to play with our tab order and also insert an image to our form. So be sure to check that out. As always, thanks for watching, and I will catch you later.